pray that the person who's speaking today, we would all hear what you want us to hear today.
All right, Micah, I got a clicker now, so you can come back and join us. If you need a sheet, they're right up here. Come and grab one. I got pens up here too, and my Bible. Get down the pen. Better be Maury. Run into my stand.
Hey Josh, grab the other stand. That's the one that has a leaning problem and it falls over.
I like leaning and falling over.
Okay, well then leave it where it's at.
I have a dream that one day you guys will grab your sheets and pens before program will start.
Why does it always wake up as a nightmare though?
That too, yes. I have many dreams and aspirations. Yes, I would love for you to bring your Bibles and to grab a sheet of paper over the stool that you stumble in across. But for now, we'll continue with what we have. All right. So today we're going to finish up our series on clarity and static. We've had, I think this is our fifth message on the series here on clarity and static. We've had some messages on authenticity in our faith. If you remember the $100 bill that we had, we were going through and seeing if it was fake or not. That was one of the lessons in this series. We had one on good and bad fruit, what you produce, the life that you live. You can look back at your life and you can see what type of Christian you are, if you are living the life out or if you're producing bad apples all the time, right? We've talked about all sorts of different stuff within this series. So today we're going to be wrapping it up with one of my absolute favorite topics that you could ever pick for somebody, and it's faith. Because I get an opportunity just to share some stories with you of what God's done in my life in different areas, which is pretty cool for me. I love doing that. And just to start off the message, I want you to know that just because some of the stories that you hear today of really cool, amazing things that God has done, they don't always end up that way. Sometimes God doesn't answer our prayer in a cool, amazing, crazy, awesome way that is the exact way that we needed it to happen. Sometimes faith, or these miracles, or these different things that God does for us, He's listening, He's doing things, but they don't end up in the way that sometimes we always have anticipated or envisioned. Okay? So, with that said, let's jump right on in. I got tons of stories today, and it's going to be tough to get you down in 30 minutes, but we'll try. So, on the top of your sheet, anywhere you'd like in the blank space, or on the lines there, wherever you'd like, I want you to write down what you think faith is. Whenever I speak, you'll probably realize I start out all my messages with, I want to grasp your understanding of the topic before we jump right in, because if you don't understand what faith is, it's going to be a weird discussion. Okay? I want you to understand what faith is to you, and then we'll share what faith is, what we believe faith is, and then we'll continue on down that path. So I want you to just write down a real quick couple of word description what you think faith is. It doesn't have to be like definition out of the dictionary. It could be a description of maybe something that you've experienced as well. So what is your definition of faith? Somebody want to share? Something you believe in. Okay. Anybody else? Something different they wrote down or elaborate on that? Seeing some nudges? Yes. Trusting someone. Yes, good. Believing in something, trusting in someone, those are both right. Anybody else? Something that hasn't been said yet?
Having confidence in someone?
Confidence, yeah. All three of those things combined are like the super definition. Anything else? Anything else to add to that? Yes. right in front of you, like looking at, I don't see anybody raising their hand.
What is your trust in something without hesitation?
Your trust in something without hesitation. Very good. Very good. Anybody else? I love hearing your definitions because they're, I don't know, they're just awesome. Am I missing anybody? No? Alright. So next up then, so those are great, fantastic. We'll get to my definition in just a second, or really it was Google's dictionary definition, but we'll get to that in a minute. I want to show an example of faith, so I'd like a volunteer real quick here. Come on up. Alright, and Jeremy's going to come on up too in just a second. In just a second, come on down here. So this chair here, as we look at it, you guys are all sitting in a chair that looks just like this chair, okay? And I just randomly grabbed a chair, so hopefully this one's actually not broken, right? Yeah, so we grab this chair, and every single time that we go and we sit down on some type of an object, or we go and we lay in our bed, or we sit at the table, or we go to school and we sit down on something, we have faith that what? What do we have faith in this chair? That it's going to hold you up, right? Because if we didn't have faith, or if the chair looked a little bit sketchy, or if you just like grabbed it out of an old like pole barn or something, and the legs are like wobbly and missing, and it looks a little bit sketchy, we might be like kind of like testing it, like I don't know if it's going to hold me or not, right? Like you're kind of like sitting on it. Like some of our stools here are definitely like that, right? So, like this one is actually pretty good, but some of our stools, like you touch it and you're like, stay, don't tip over. Don't fall over, right? Because they look a little bit wobbly, right? So we have faith in this because we've sat in it multiple times. It's held us. We haven't fallen through. We haven't tipped over. The chair hasn't broken in half. We have faith because we've had an experience, right? We've experienced this chair holding us multiple times. So sit down. Let's see if you have faith. Oh my gosh. It held you, right? Not too bad. All right, so stand up. All right, so now we're going to try something a little different. Stand up here. He's like, what is he going to do to me? Actually, get down for a second. We're going to slide it a little bit. You know, smack your head later. Okay, stand up on there again. No, not for that. You'll see. Okay, so this next part here, have you ever done like a trust fall? Okay, good. Well, what we're going to do...
I want to do it.
Thank you. Travis, do it, Travis.
How much do you have faith in Jeremy?
Not much.
Not much. Well, at least he's being honest, right?
No.
All right. So I've had to do a trust fall before, where we stood on, and I just did this in August, and we had to stand on top of a 15-foot ladder and fall down into like 10 people that would catch you. It was terrible. Like it's like a good like 6-foot fall before their outstretched arms catch you. Right? It's terrible. And they would make you redo it. You have to keep redoing it until your body was straight as a plank when they caught you. Like if you bent it all, redo it. Bent it all, redo it. It was terrible, right? But we had to do it for an exercise to have team building and faith in the rest of our team, right? So we're not going to do a 15-foot ladder, but we're going to do it off the top of the building, right? So turn around, face that side, and when you're ready, you're just going to fall backwards and have faith that Jeremy is going to catch you.
No, Jeremy, you have to be this side. That side. Closer this way.
All right, buddy. Whenever you're ready.
Jeremy, you're not close enough. Oh, no.
Good job. Good job. See, he was a little skeptical at first, right? A little skeptical that Jeremy was going to catch you. Hold on, we're not done yet. All right. Climb on up here. Yep, climb on up.
I volunteer to give you. This will be her.
So you got to test the stool after I said that comment earlier.
Don't hit your head.
Now you're a lot higher. Right? Yeah, you're going to fall into Jeremy this way. Don't go yet. But now he's a lot higher up, and I'm going to make him think about it for a little while.
He's already started. No, Jeremy can't.
He's a lot higher up this time. We're going to make him think about his height here. But he's up like 8.5, 9 feet now at the top of his head, right? And if you were to fall and Jeremy weren't to catch you, it would probably really hurt. You'd probably hit your back really hard, maybe hit your head, might get knocked unconscious. It's fun, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But the higher that we get, the more scary it becomes. Because we're going to have a risk of falling further. And I want to make that correlation with our life's problems as well. Sometimes when our problems are really big, they can be really scary, right? Because if they don't go well, we feel like we could fall a lot farther. We feel like if God doesn't have us, there's way more at risk. If God doesn't kiss or walk with us, something bad is really going to happen. Whereas something small like I need 50 cents for my lunch today isn't quite as big of a problem sometimes. For some people it might be, but the scale of our problems sometimes can change our faith and how we feel and react to what God is going to do for us, right? So, when you're ready, you're going to fall backwards. You're going to fall all of the 8 feet, and Jeremy's going to move, and you're going to smack your head. I'm just kidding. He's going to catch you. We got faith in Jeremy, right? I mean, look at this. Look at these muscles here. Look at this. He can catch you. All right, do it. Whenever you're ready. All right, you guys. So as you can see, we need to have faith in whatever it is that's catching us. Whether that's us sitting down in a chair, as we're all as we're all showing that faith in the chair that we're sitting in, or if that's somebody catching you, or somebody helping you, or helping you get through whatever that is. We have to show faith in different objects throughout the day, right? Today we're not going to be talking about having faith in the chair that we're sitting in, though, because this is church and we're going to talk about God, right? So we're going to have faith. We're going to talk about what it means to have faith in God, right? My example of faith, so that we're all on the same page here, is complete trust or confidence in someone or something. Of course, I put in parentheses God here because that's what we're going to be focusing on today, is our faith in God. But as we've demonstrated today, we can have faith in other objects as well, good and bad, right? We can have faith in bad things as well. But complete trust or confidence in someone or something. And that's the definition of faith we're going to operate on today. Complete trust or confidence in someone or something. And just for your sake of talking later with your discussion group, somewhere on your sheet of paper, you can put it wherever you like, depending on how secretive you want to be. On a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being I have no faith right now at all, and 10 being I have I'm going to go walk out of the water and I'm going to meet Jesus right today type of faith. Somewhere in the middle of that scale, I want you to write a number down and just circle it. Okay, it could be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, or 10. I want you to write down how close you feel with your faith with God. Like, I will trust Him to jump off this building and I'm going to survive it. Like, that's 10, way up there, I'm good. And 1 is like, I don't even know who God is. Okay, I want you to write that scale in there, and that will be a good conversation for you guys later. Okay, 1 through 10. All right. As you're thinking, if you haven't written down the number, just think about it throughout the message here, okay? So I've got a story. Anybody know what state this is? Colorado. What was the hint? The highlighted state in the middle of the country. Yeah, the flag too. Yeah. I had to look at it and make sure that I wasn't putting up a Colorado one that actually wasn't Colorado. Like, it'd be like highlight New Mexico or something. That'd be embarrassing. Yeah, we're talking about Colorado. So I know you guys would do it. You'd be like, that's not Colorado. You'd be like, yeah, embarrassing, right? But Colorado. I got a story about Colorado. Just like you guys, I grew up going to church every day, or not every day, every week. Every week we came to church, right? We'd go to church on Sundays, we'd go to church on Wednesdays. My dad's done youth ministry longer than I've been alive, so I've been part of the youth group for a long time, right? Much like some of you in here as well, though, just because you go to church doesn't mean that you have a strong faith-based relationship with God. You're here, but that doesn't mean that you have faith that God's going to do whatever it is that you want Him to do, right? That was me, right? I came to church. I didn't really like the youth group. I was forced to come a lot of times, but I came. I didn't have a strong relationship with Jesus at the time, and my faith wasn't super strong. But I'm going to share a really cool story with you today about somebody that had faith to come and talk to me that really impacted my life, right? And I don't know if this was an angel, very well could be. I don't know if this was just somebody that was listening to what God told him to do that day. I don't know. But it's a very cool story. Anybody ever heard this one from me before? Okay, a couple of you. All right, very cool. So if you haven't heard this one, buckle up. It's a fun one. Okay. So, and this is going to start my whole faith journey right here. So this will tell you how big of a moment that this was. Okay, so I was back in 9th grade, and like I just explained to you, I wasn't really super close with God at the time. Back in 9th grade. And I had prayed, God, tell me somehow that you are here with me. Tell me somehow about how I can have faith in you. Help me see that. And that was kind of my prayer. Like, I just wasn't seeing God do anything. And I was just kind of like, yeah, I'm just going to church for whatever. Right? I didn't really ever see him do anything cool or fantastic or really anything ever. Right? And so my cousin was graduating in Colorado at the time. This was in May of 2007, I believe. And so they were getting graduated down there, so we were going to drive down there and watch the graduation. For whatever reason, the rest of my family couldn't go, so I tagged along with the Nunnamakers, if you know who the Nunnamakers are, up in children's ministry. And so we all tagged up with them, and we were riding in their camper. There's like 30 of us in their camper, right? That was like normal when we went on road trips, right? We'd like plow the entire like extended family into their camper, and we would drive for God knows how long we would go. Like, it was just ridiculous. We'd make like 10-hour trips in like 40-hour days. And it was like just nuts, right? So we jumped in and we're all heading down to Colorado. It was like a 12-hour drive, whatever like that. 12 or 13-hour drive. We head on down there, we get down there, having a good time, whatever. Comes for the day, I'm skipping a lot of stuff because it's not important. Comes to the day when the graduation ceremony is. Who's ever been to a graduation ceremony before? Boring. Super boring, right? We sit there and they all like read off names alphabetically and you're like, I don't care about a single one of these people right now. Like, just tell a person's name, we'll clap, woo, and we're all done, right? That's what it was. So imagine we're in the middle of Colorado summer. It's like end of May, beginning of June. It's like 110 degrees outside. We're in this super old high school gym that's like, looks like our gym up here, but even older, right? And they got like those old fold-out style bleachers. And the place is absolutely packed. I mean, it is like, if you're sitting down, your nose is in your neighbor's armpit, right? You are so close to each other that it is ridiculous. And it's 1,000,000 degrees in there. I hate groups of people anyways, and it's terrible, right? And we're sitting there, and we're just, please get done with this. Like, and I mean, it's a tiny high school, so there's probably only like 100 people or whatever, but it still seemed like it was going to take days, right? Especially when you're sitting in that super hot gym. So we're sitting there, and we're going through, and if you're like me, when you get bored in a group of people, you start to people watch, right? You look at who's the weirdest looking person in here, right? I'm going to find that person, and I'm going to just laugh in my head, right? Or who is whatever. We start people watching. We start looking around, right? And as I'm looking around, just wasting time, I see this person. She's an older lady, not like, probably older than I was, but I'd say like in her 50s. Sitting about 6 or 7 rows ahead of me. And every once in a while, remember I'm in 9th grade, so I'm pretty close to what you guys are right now. Every once in a while, when I was looking around, I would notice this lady, like looking at me. Like looking at me. And the first time it was like, oh, maybe our eyes just connected. Like, weird, like, have you ever done that before? You're like looking around, all of a sudden you're like, whoa, that's weird, we're like staring at each other, right? You know what I'm talking about, right? Yeah. So that was like weird, I'm not gonna look over there again, but like all of us stupid people, we're gonna look back over there, right? In a little bit. So what do? In a little while, I look back over there, and our eyes connect again. I'm like, this is weird, this is super weird, awkward, and now I'm like, is she staring at me? This is super weird. I don't know what to do. So I look again, and our eyes meet again, and I'm like, okay, this is not a coincidence. She is like looking at me on purpose. This is weird, and now I'm getting uncomfortable, right? There's like this older person looking at me, and I'm like, I'm uncomfortable. This is weird. I don't like this. And so now, because I'm still really bored, and now I'm comfortable, I'm developing this whole like Mission Impossible style plan to get out of the gym undetected. Right? So when the ceremony ends, my plan is I'm going to jump up somehow and get out of this gym, run right to the camper, and like lock myself in the bathroom or something, right? Because I don't want to have a conversation. This is weird. I'm uncomfortable. I don't like this. So I developed this whole plan of action. and the graduation ceremony, it ends. So what do? I shoot up, I run out, I run to the back of the gym, I fling the doors open, and guess who's standing there? The lady. I was like, oh no, this is terrible. Like, what is going on here? And she's standing there. I'm like, pretending I don't notice her, like walking over here, and she like steps in front of me. And I'm like, oh Jesus. And the next 30 seconds changed my life. Literally. I don't know if this was an angel. I don't know if this was someone that just listened to what God had said to her that morning to do this. But she spoke truth into my life. 30 seconds to a minute, I don't even know. It could have been an hour for all I know. Once she started talking to me, she was speaking to me truth of what it was. And she explained everything that I had been praying about. She's like, have faith in God in this. Have faith in God in this. Have faith that God will do this. And was speaking direct truth into my life. And I was like, how did you know this stuff? This is crazy. I don't understand how you even know any of these things. And she gave me a verse. And she said these things to me. And towards the end of the conversation, again, I don't know how long this was. It could have been days for all I remember, right? But she, like I said, she was telling me, have faith in God, have faith that He's going to show up in your life, have faith in these things. And before we ended the conversation, I asked her, so who are you, and why are you here? And she said, and I said, do you know anybody here? And she said, no, I'm not here for anybody besides to have a conversation with you. I don't know anybody graduating. God just told me to come and talk to somebody today. And we ended the conversation like that. I've never seen her again. I asked my family about her. They had never seen her. It's not like my aunt was like, hey, did you go have a conversation with him? Like, they had no idea who this lady was either. Right? She was a complete stranger. An angel, a stranger, I don't know what she was. But she came to a crowded gym without knowing a single person at a graduation ceremony to have a conversation with someone she didn't know about something she didn't know about. And she did it. And she did it. So if that isn't an angel, she is an angel. Because she followed to be what God had told her to do. Because if you told me to go and do that, if God was like, hey Josh, you should go to the Viking stadium, sit down, look around, and find some unsuspecting person, and go and talk to them about their problems, I'd be like, hey, yeah, no, not going to do that, right? But she did. She did. She came and she had a conversation with me, and that moment, not right away, but that moment came to show what it kind of gave my life a 180. Hebrews 11:1 says, let's take a look at it real quick. Hebrews 11:1. Now, faith is the reality of what is hoped for, the proof of what is not seen. Right? I think that kind of goes along with what our definition of what faith is today, right? Faith is the reality of what is hoped for, the proof of what is not seen. Faith is not always something, and it rarely is something that we can actually see the outcome in, because then it wouldn't be faith. It would just be being able to see what we're going to do, right? We don't know what the outcome is going to be. We don't know what's going to happen. We don't know what's going to become of us in whatever that situation is that we're facing, right? And that's what faith is. It's having faith in what we cannot see is going to turn out the way that God's got it planned out, right? So my next story here is to have faith in God to provide for you. Okay? Now in this scenario again, this was a couple of months later actually, and I think this is a big part of why God wanted this lady to come and have a conversation with me. At the end of July of that same year, a guy by the name of Al Bergman, none of the students in here would know Al, some of the leaders might know Al Bergman. Abe might know Al Bergman. Oh, you might know the story too. But a few months later, Al Bergman came, and he came up to me and he was like, "Hey, I think it'd be really cool if you go to Czech. I think you should go to the Czech Republic with us." And I was like, "I'm a foreign country, like, I don't think so. I don't know." And he's like, "Yeah, you know, like, just think about it, pray about it. By the way, you're gonna have to raise like $2,500. Oh, I was like, "Okay, all right, yeah, I'll pray about it." And I prayed about it. It was a quick prayer because I came back like the next week and was like, "All right, Al, I'm in. Let's do this. Let's go to the Czech Republic." And a few months prior to that, I've been like, "No way, I'm not leaving the country for God. Like, I'm not even going to lock on my door for God. I'm not going to go to a foreign country, right?" And then again, I realized that I had to raise $2,500. And I prayed to God, and I prayed a lot. That's a prayer of, "God, help me provide for me the money I need to be able to go and do work for you." Some of you in here, students and adults, have done this before on a much larger scale, some of you, of raising support to live off of, right? $2,500, it's a chunk of money, but it's not something I live off of. But at the time as a high schooler, that's a lot of money, right? $2,500. So I prayed, and I prayed, and I prayed, and I prayed for God to provide. Now, I wasn't tracking all of the money all the time that was coming in. I would just take the check that I got and turn it in, and hopefully I would have enough money. I wasn't always keeping track of it. I wasn't the greatest at that, but I kind of kept up on it. And we're coming to be like the halfway point. We're not even like buying tickets yet, but we're coming to the halfway point. Like, you should have half of your money saved. And one of the leaders came to me and told me, like, "Hey Josh, let's talk about the money that you've raised for Czech." And I was like, "Oh geez, this is not good. Probably not going to have any money. This is terrible." And Mark and Karen Gold, if you know who they are, I'm just throwing lots of people out today. They pulled me aside and they had this conversation with me. And again, I'm like, "Geez, I'm not going to have any money. I'm not going to go. This is terrible. Blah blah blah." And they're like, "So," in the Mark and Karen way, "you have a lot of money." And I was like, "What?" And they're like, "You've raised like 3 times as much as you need. So we need your permission to be able to let others go and be able to help them pay their way as well." And I was like, "Yeah, cool, like sweet, like, you know, like awesome, yeah, sweet." So this prayer that I had that I wasn't even sure that I was going to be able to raise money because I didn't have $2,500, I didn't have a job or any of that stuff, became a prayer of, how can I help others be blessed by the money that others have blessed me with? It was very cool. It was awesome. As a 9th grader, being like, to have that happen to you, that was like the first time that I had ever seen God work in my life in that way before, of providing for something that I had directly been praying for. Okay? So have faith that God will provide for you. Now remember the story I told, or the phrase I told you at the very beginning. Just because that we have faith that God's going to always provide does not mean that we will always get the things that we think is the right thing for us at the time, right? That's not what, I don't want you to think that God's a genie and if you pray for this, He's just going to give you $1 million right now, okay? I'm just telling you some stories that I have witnessed before of God's work, okay? Proverbs 3, 5, and 6, you've probably heard that verse many, many times. Anybody want to quote it right now? As soon as I say it, you'll probably remember it. Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding. Think about Him in all your ways, and He will guide you and make your path straight. Next one here. Have faith in God's plan in your life. Now, I got tons of stories on that last one that I'm not sharing. Maybe you've heard of my plane ticket story. Anybody ever heard that one before? Okay. Another time I'll share that one. Basically, God blessed me with giving me a free ticket to another country on an airplane worth $2,000, and it was fantastic. God wanted me to go and do whatever I had to do, right? But as well as actually, I do have to share this story. This one's crazy. And has anybody ever heard my hotel story? Maybe? Okay, so this one is really cool, right? So, a lot of these stories have to do with Czech because I really truly believe that God was in and working in our Czech team, and that's why many times that He blessed us in ways that we can't describe, in ways that He wanted to reach the Czech people, and He was hungry for them and wanted to help us. So this story, we get all the way to Czech Republic, and at this time in my life, I was co-leading. Okay, I was co-leading the Czech team, and for whatever reason, people always had thought that I was a decent leader at things. I wasn't even out of high school yet, and I was co-leading a team of students with another leader. Right? So I'm a junior in high school, and I'm co-leading with Mark and Karen Gold on this team, and they're like having me make decisions and do things and help lead this team. And so we're flying across, there's 30 of us, roughly, and we're flying across the pond to Czech. And obviously when you're in the airplane for the 9, 10, 12 hours that you are flying over there, you don't get cell phone service, right? Well, now you kind of do on some flights, but even international flights, you still don't. Couldn't connect with the team from Czech. We land, and because I was one of the co-leaders, I had my phone, they texted us. And they're like, you might not want to tell us your team, but you guys might want to pray about this. The hotel that you guys are planning on staying at, they double booked you. And we got no place for you to stay. So, pray. That was basically the text that we got. And we were like, the three of us, and we grabbed another leader or two, and we were like, this is terrible. Like, we're in a foreign country, we have 30 of us, we need a place to stay, we can't, like I don't know what we're going to do, right? So we prayed. There's nothing we can do. We don't even speak the language. So it's not like we can call hotels and be like, hey, you guys got room for 30 Americans? And they'd be like, click. Right? A, they don't speak English, and B, they don't want Americans. So it wasn't going to work that way. So we prayed, and we prayed, and we prayed. It was like another 6-hour train ride. We're in the middle of nowhere that we're going to, right? And so we prayed. And we landed in the city. It sounds like we took off from a spaceship, but we landed in the train in the city of Ledovice. You call it a village, it's tiny. And we get off the train, and the leaders from Czech, if you guys remember Chenza, he was one of the leaders at the time on the team over there. And his brother-in-law was the youth pastor. And they met us. And they're like, you're never going to believe what happened. And we're like, well, we prayed for it, so we have a pretty good idea. Like, you got some crazy, cool, awesome thing that's going to happen. And he's like, so we found another hotel, because the other one was double booked. They have the exact amount of rooms that we needed, for the exact amount of people. They had like 31 beds or something like that. And normally the price of the hotel was like 3 times as much as the other place, but because they had an opening the week that we were there, they gave it to us half the price of the other hotel that we were staying at. So we got like a discounted price and the exact amount of rooms that we needed at a place to stay. It was like, and the days that they were open was like a couple of days extra than what we need. It was like, you gotta be kidding me. And it was it was only like a quarter of a mile away from the church that we were serving instead of a mile-long walk. It was like, everything about this place was just perfect. And it ended up being the hotel that we stayed at for the next like 4 or 5 years because it was just perfect, and we built a relationship with them. It was pretty cool. And I think they have a relationship with the church now as well, which is really awesome. Okay? So, there's another thing of trust God to provide in the time that you need Him to. Right? Trust that God's got a plan. We had no idea. We had no idea what we were going to do. And there's a verse in God's Word as well that, I don't know the reference of it, but basically it says, when we're weakest, God is strong. When we don't know where else to turn, God shows up. right? And it says for us to enjoy being in our weakest moments, because that's when God shows up, and I've been witness to that. That sometimes when we got no other place to turn, we don't care what happens. We're just like, God, do something. Like, I don't know what's going to happen, but do it, right? So this next one here, have faith in God's plan for your life. Here, maybe step over just a bit so I can see the clock there. All right. I'm running over a little bit, but I think it's okay. So have faith in God's plan for your life, right? And this is what you're like, I don't know where I'm going, I don't know what I do, I don't know what I want to do when I grow up. That's all okay. Those are okay things, right? I still don't know what I want to do when I grow up, right? But have faith in God's plan for you. And so this story goes back to when I graduated high school, and I'm going to college, like many of you will do someday. And I thought I knew exactly what I wanted to do. I thought I wanted to go and be a teacher, a math teacher in particular, but any kind of teacher. And I loved math, and I kind of liked teaching, and yeah, so I thought I was going to do that. So I got my application all ready, and I sent it into Bethel College. You know where Bethel is, it's in the cities here. And I sent in my application. I had the right scores, I had the right grades and everything. It should have been a no-brainer. I should have easily gotten it. I never heard back from them. I should have just called them, but I didn't because I hate talking on the phone. My parents will probably laugh at that. I still hate talking on the phone. Right? So I never called them. Well, it was coming up to the deadline to apply for other colleges, so I didn't really have much of a choice. Again, I still didn't call them because I hated confrontation. So I stopped, and I just applied at another school. I applied at a community college, right in Inver Grove Heights. I had no idea what I was going to do. I thought I wanted to be a teacher, but they didn't have a teaching program there, so I was like, I don't know, maybe I'll just do generals until I hear back from the other place. So I applied there, got accepted right away, I sent in my application, they called me, and I was like, oh, hey, what classes do you want to take? I was like, okay, all right, these are the classes, blah, blah. And I needed to have 6 more credits to be able to have a full course load. So I was like, what the heck, I'll take this dumb EMT class. EMT class. Yeah, to fulfill the 6 extra credits that I needed. Well, basically the rest is history. I took the EMT class, loved it, took another EMT class, continued on the process, and got into the paramedic program there, which led to being in the career that I'm in now. 3/4 of the way through my program at Inver Hills, I'm like getting into the paramedic program now. I pretty much have decided what I was going to do. I get a letter in the mail from Bethel. Hey, if you're still interested, we've misplaced your application. Place in our program, we'll take you. And I was like, God, you were too funny. God had a plan for me. I don't know if that was what it was or not, but I always like to go with the basic route of God's got a plan for my life. And whatever that is, guiding and directing me, making applications get lost, or lights staying red, or whatever it is. I could have went to that program. But God had said, nope, I want you over here. And I have seen the reasons why now. A lot of them. Jeremiah 29:11. You guys have probably heard that one before, right? For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. God's got a plan for you. I'm going to rush through this in 2 minutes. This is one of my favorite stories in the entire Bible. So we're going to rush through it quick, and I'm going to leave it for the last. I think we'll have 10 minutes then, right? We're at 12 right now, I think. We got 9 minutes right now. Okay. Well, we'll see what we can do. So, 2 Kings. Open your Bibles up to 2 Kings. It's in the front of your Bible. Who's never read the book of 2 Kings before? Be honest, it's okay. Before I heard this story, I had never read the book of 2 Kings either, so. Who wishes they had a name like Jehoshaphat? Yeah, I knew it. If your parents named you Jehoshaphat, I'd feel bad. Alright, so this story, again, one of my favorite stories in the Bible. for what it means to faith. Okay? So imagine that you are in the middle of a desert with a group of people. Your name is Elijah, E-L-I-S-H-A, Elijah, not the E-J Elijah one, but Elijah. I can't ever say the difference between the two, so Elijah, right? That's who you are. You're traveling with this group of people through this desert, and God has called you to go and take over this other group of people, right? You're part of this big military movement. And you've got a lot of people in your military movement, right? And you are for certain that God has called you to go and do this. And as you're walking, I'm just paraphrasing this story, okay? You can read it later. But as you're walking through this desert area, I don't know why you didn't think of this because we're dumb sometimes, but you run out of water. Kind of important to have water in the middle of a desert, right? So now you're getting thirsty, and your animals are getting thirsty, and you got nothing left. And you're like, well, this is a bummer. Yeah, this is kind of bad, right? How are we going to fight if we're all dead from dehydration? So it's been a couple of days now, and King Jehoshaphat, he comes to you as Elijah, and he says, hey, you know what? I know that you are a man of God. I know that you're a prophet. I know that you speak with God. I know that God listens to you. He's basically like, the king is coming to you and being like, help us, please, do something. And you as Elijah is like, all right, we'll pray. And so in the middle of all of this, you'll have to read this part because I just like to joke about it. But in the middle of all of this hard times and no water and everyone being thirsty and this is a big deal, this is a bad time, Elijah's like, all right, get me a harp. So he starts playing some music, right? And he's like, it really isn't why he does it is they love to create an environment where they can speak with God, right? It's an environment of worship, really, right? Just like we do, we play music up here. It's not about the people singing up here, it's about our hearts and creating a space for us to worship, right? Same deal. So he gets a harp out, they're like playing this mood music, right? And everyone's like, what the heck is this guy doing? Like, we need water. We don't need like an orchestra playing here on a harp, right? We need water. We need water. Elijah, we need water. And Elijah's like, relax, you guys. I got this. Like, I just got to talk with God. Relax. Like, this isn't like a genie in the bottle. Like, stroke this harp and water comes flying from the sky. Like, relax. It's okay. So he prays to God. And God gives Elijah this vision. And he says, you're not going to see what's coming. You're not going to see this water come. But you have to prepare for this water to come. Tell the men to go out and dig ditches. Elijah's like, this is not going to go over well. So he goes to the king and he's like, hey, I know you're all thirsty. I know you're all dying. We need to go and dig ditches. Because there's a lot of water coming. There's a lot of water coming. We're going to need to channel it. Otherwise it's going to flood everything. And the king's like, what? We're going to dig ditches in the middle of a desert for water that's going to come from nowhere. All right. Let's do this. So I don't know how, Elijah must be a good salesman because they do it. They go out and they dig ditches. And they are in the middle of a desert. The other army's probably like, look at those dummies. They're digging ditches. And they're digging ditches in the middle of this desert to channel the water, because if you don't dig ditches and all this water comes, it's just going to wipe away, right? We're in the middle of a desert. It's just going to just flow away. And so they dig these ditches. No water in sight. They wait a day. All of a sudden, they wake up, and water is flowing from every direction, and it fills up their ditches with water. It's all in 2 Kings chapter 3 here. Take a look at it when you get a second. But water is filling up the ditches, and they all have water to drink, and they're able to hydrate themselves, and they go out and they win the battle. That's the end of the story, basically. But the reason why this is important, and then we'll be done, it's important because sometimes the faith that we have, if we don't prepare for whatever we're asking God to do in our lives, if God does it, it might just roll right over the top of us and we're not even ready for it, right? We might be like, God, help me with this, and you're not even ready for whatever that is that you're asking God for. We got to prepare for God to bring, in this sense, the rain in the desert or the rain to come. We got to prepare for digging those ditches in these times. Whether that desert is the sense that we're in the middle of a bad time in our lives and we're not hearing from God, we still need to prepare for God to show up. Or if that's like we need to prepare for God to show up in our lives, we need to prepare for God to do things in our lives, even if He's quiet. Even if He's not doing something, we should still be praying. We should still be reading God's Word. We should still be telling others about Jesus and digging those ditches, continuing on in our relationship with Jesus. Okay? So let me pray for us. I know we only got like 2 minutes, so you can just break out in this room real quick and talk to yourselves. But yeah. Jesus, thank you so much for this group of students. Thank you so much for faith. Thank you so much for the things that you've done in my life and in these students and these adults' lives, God. We just pray that you would speak to us this week, that you would guide us and show us your word, God. Show us your plan for us and walk with us this week, God. In your name. Amen. So boys, break in out over here. Ladies, you guys can probably just break into 2 groups and meet together. And you guys got about 5 minutes from us. 2.